Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, you know what? We got freestyle chess going on. This is the Las Vegas leg. So as you guys know, probably know, maybe might not know, but you know now, they do have, this is Chess960, and I do have to find out what position this is exactly, and I will put it in the description so you can know in case you want to plug it into a chess engine or something. But this is one of the random positions. For those of you that are not aware of Chess960, they basically rearranged the back pieces on the back rank. And there's 960 different possibilities when you do that. So it basically takes opening theory completely off the table. There's no memorizing. You just have to go based on your chess understanding and knowledge. So, of course, all my people that are coming from the Philippines, I would say maraming salamat. Anybody who is coming from Norway, I would say tusen tak. But if you guys are ready to go, man, this is Magnus Carlsen versus Wesley So. Let's take a look, see what we got for this game, son. All right, man, so we got the move G3, which normally would be the Nimzovich Larsen, but could be some King's Indian type stuff. But, you know, basically what you're looking at here from this position is you have Bishop. You have these bishops right here. So, you know, one of the things that you want to try to do is clear the best path for your bishops. So we do see the move G3. We got G6, basically just kind of copying what Magnus Carlsen is doing. We do see the move C4, and then we do see the move C6. And this is a very useful move. You know what white has done, and black has done it also. They have opened up these bishops. So C6 is just trying to blunt this bishop as much as possible. Also, you got this rook over here. So if this becomes way too open, you have some possibilities of this, and you don't want that. We do see the move D3. We got the move F5. We got bishop to D2. Knight goes to F7, and then bishop goes to C3. And this is a strong bishop for black. So, I mean, playing bishop here, you possibly want to trade it off, and then maybe black will have a little bit of some weaknesses over here if they castle on this side. We do see the move E5, just blocking that bishop. We do see the move B4. We got knight down to E6. We got knight to D2. We got castles by black and castles by white. Now, going back to this position here, you already saw black got castled. White needs to be castled here, and they have the ability to do so. So, castling in Chess960 is pretty much kind of the same as regular chess. The only difference is the king and the rook are starting off in different squares. But when you do end up castling, they will end up falling on the same squares that they generally do when it's a regular chess game. So the rules, like I said, still apply. Neither piece can have moved ever. There can't be any piece that is attacking a square that the king has to pass through or the king lands on. And neither piece could have been moved during the game. And, you know, sometimes you got the king here. Sometimes you got the king here, and I'm not 100% sure if there is an initial starting position where the king and the rook are already like this. So basically, you don't have to castle. I would assume so because I feel like it'd have to be there. But you guys see that both players did not touch either one of their rook or their king. There was no pieces, you know, attacking any of these squares and stuff where the king has to go. So you do have the proper ingredients for white and black to get castled. We got queen going down to C7. We see bishop to G2, kind of like a regular fee and kettle situation. We do see rook over to D8. We do see the move C5. We got the move B6, and then knight to B3 comes perfectly in time to make sure that if we have captures, we got captures here. And everything is pretty solid. I mean, you know, both players kind of have a little bit more they need to do to kind of get fully castled. But you see that white is only a few moves away from their rooks being connected. Black is also. And the biggest thing about, you know, not having any opening theory is just trying to find structures that you're comfortable with. Which we see that Wesley So kind of got comfortable with this kind of structure. And then we have Magnus Carlsen that kind of chose something like this. So like I said, I think that that's one of the biggest challenges when you're playing Chess960 is trying to figure out what type of structure that you're going to construct based on where your pieces are kind of sitting. We do see the move D5, and then we have pawn taking D6, and now we have eliminated the problem of a pawn getting pushed here or, you know, any type of captures here. So this knight is actually now free to move, and we see the knight going to a really beautiful square coming up in the future. We do see knight taking D6. We got the move A4, and this is kind of nifty because it does, stop the knight from plopping into the square, affecting this bishop that we placed so nicely. We do see rook going over to B8. Now we have gotten off that diagonal, so it is not a problem anymore like we got right here. We do see the move queen to B2. We got knight back to F7. We got rook over to c1, bishop goes to b7, and then we do see queen to a2. And it might look a little bit strange, but this is a long-term plan. You see that, yes, right now, you do have a lot of pieces and a lot of space between the queen and the king. But maybe going into the future at some point, you know, some pieces can get cleared out of the way, and maybe you have a pin, you know, taking place on this knight here next to the king. So, you know, there's definitely some potential for some long-term stuff going on. We do see the move c5, opening up the bishop on our bishop on g2. The bishop takes b7. We got queen taking b7. And since we have gotten white to trade off their light squared bishop, we do have kind of like some highlighted squares around the king that we might be able to take advantage of. If we can, you know, maybe possibly get something like knight here, and then the queen kind of, you know, infiltrating in here somewhere. We might have some attacks, man. Wesley So might have a game. We do see pawn taking c5, pawn taking c5, and then, like I said before, knight going to a5, and this is a much better situation for the knight to be in. We also have knight to c6, which is a looming threat in the position. So black has to be careful to kind of make sure that he's, you know, paying attention to this square, because if you get knight c6 in, bam and bam, and, you know, thank you, ma'am. We do see queen going to a6. We got knight going up to e3. Currently, bishop c3 is holding knight a5. And we don't plan on leaving knight a5 on the rim forever. We want to try to get it into the game. We do see bishop going to g7. The queen goes to c4. And we actually see Wesley So go queen to d6, which is definitely very legit. Like I tell you guys all the time, when you go into trade, you got to try to think about, or what are you getting? What is your opponent getting? So if we look at what that would look like, this is definitely not a terrible move, but it's definitely not one of the best moves. Queen would be taking on c4, and then you got knight e taking c4. And you can see the big difference between this position and the position that we're in right here. This knight is not the worst, but it is not as strongly placed as if it would be on c4. And you still have this threat right here. So if we go back to the position that we could have seen, if black just said, hey, I'm a trade. And so, you know, like I said, you know, when you trade some pieces, sometimes you give your opponent a little bit too much. And Magnus Carlsen would love to have his knights looking like this. He still has that threat going on. I mean, he got some stuff cooking, man. So, yes, like I said, we did see Wesley So avoid the trade legitimately. So queen goes to d6. We got rook over to b1. Rook d goes to c8. We do see knight up to d5. And then we have queen to d7. And the computer says this is a blunder. And you kind of see the bar go up a little bit. It's 3 plus 3-ish. There is a combination that we have present in the position, and it takes, I think, about 3 or 4 moves deep for you to be able to see this. I don't think it's completely visible at the moment, but if you do get this move, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, you got it, bro. I mean, I don't know what's going on with you. But if you want to go ahead and pause the video and try to guess what move Magnus Carlsen has in the position, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. So, like I said, it is a very long variation, and it requires a piece sacrifice at the very beginning, but you will be realizing that piece coming up at some point in the future. The move is knight to e7 with check. And like I said, I don't think really hardly anybody got this move because it literally looks like there is no check on e7, bro. Like, why am I checking on e7 right now? It's not protected. I'm just throwing my knight away. But it kind of goes back to that long-term pin that I was talking about at the beginning, way earlier when the queen was here, and it was like kind of X ran through everything. So you would be looking at knight to e7 check. Like I said, if you got it, then, I mean, man, hey, congrats to you. You're kind of gangster, man. I mean, you know, I don't really have much I can show you with my videos, but I appreciate you watching. But we do have this right here. The queen just takes. And I think probably at this point, Wesley So's like, I don't really see what's going on here. But we do see rook taking b8, and then rook taking b8, and then knight going to c6. And yes, we still have that knight to c6 idea. But you probably are still thinking, I mean, isn't white just down a piece, though? Like, they threw the knight away, and it's like, how are they going to get it back? Well, the problem is now. You got knight hitting this queen and hitting the rook. You really don't want to kind of move the queen anywhere where it's just going to hang the rook. So you want to kind of move to at least somewhere where you can still have influence on the rook. So we do see queen going to b7. You pretty much could have like kind of moved anywhere that was in connection with the rook so that you can save it. What you do notice about this move right here and a lot of the other moves, it doesn't really matter where you move, but then once knight takes b8 happens, the queen will be deflected to c8, and it is hanging this knight right here. So Like I said, you had to look about 3 or 4 moves deep and to see like you gave up your knight, but this knight on D6, E6 was going to become undefended at some point. So we do see knight taking B8, and instead of taking a back immediately, Wesley So decides that he's going to try to at least drum up some counterplay. So we do see knight E to G5, just trying to get this knight out of the danger zone, and this knight should be able to kind of fall at some point. But we do have the move H4, and now you kind of got to go into kamikaze mode. You got knight going to H3 with check, and then after the king goes to H2, you do see knight taking F2, and then rook taking F2, and then now after the smoke clears, we do see queen taking on B8. And I will say this, black has a pawn, but white has the exchange, and that exchange is proving to be very, very strong at this particular moment. And it is +4. So the evaluation is like literally, this is so one, you can take a nap and it just wins itself. But you know, chess is not like that, man. And we're humans. We do see the move E4 trying to open up the F file. Maybe if, you know, black can fall asleep, you know, takes here, and then you got takes there, and then you just drop the piece for no reason. But Wesley So's like, bro, I'm not doing none of that, dog. What you think I am, bro? We got king going over to G2 after we see the move F4 trying to keep things closed. We do see queen going over to C8. We got rook over to B2 taking over that open file. We do see bishop to F6. We got queen going up to D5. And then we do see queen to G4. And I will say this, man. Wesley So has some chances, bro. He got a little bit going on here. He got, you know, this pawn is kind of, you know, falling. This bishop is going to be able to take here with the queen pinning and stuff like that. So, you know, even though Magnus Carlsen is in a completely better position, he still has to find some really, really strong, like, kind of only type moves. So we do see rook going up to B8 with check, which the computer's like triple zeros. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but this ain't chess, bro. King goes to G7. We do see rook down to B7. We got queen down to E2 with check. And this is the proper way to go about it. Wesley So, I mean, he's probably thinking here, at least I got a draw, which if you're winning at any point, you definitely don't want to draw. But, I mean, this is Magnus, man. You know, the Magnus effect be real. So there we go. The king goes down to G1. We got queen to D1 with check. And it might kind of seem like we're going into a perpetual. But we do see king going to F2. We got pawn taking G3. And this just completely gives white the advantage again. So it's like, I mean, Magnus Carlsen is having all day long to win, man. So it is Magnus Carlsen's game to win. We got king taking G3. And then we do see queen going to G1 with check. And it kind of seems like, man, you know, this white's just going to clear the game out. Everything's going to be everything. Magnus Carlsen going to get like the umpteenth win against Wesley So. We got king going over to F3. We got queen going to F1. And this is like, Magnus is following all the correct lines. He's like, you know, the computer's like, hey, man, I love this guy. But we got king over to E3. We got bishop taking H4. And it's looking dire. It's like, bro, you know what? This is so dangerous right now. This is crazy. But we do see bishop taking E5 with check. And you see the eval. The computer's like, I hate this move. I don't know why you made this move, lowly human. What's going on with you in your brain? We do see king going down to H6. And then we see rook taking F7, which is a game-losing blunder. And you will be leaving it up to Wesley So to find this mate in 4. And he does. But before we get to this, I will go back. After we saw bishop takes H4, the computer says that for you to win the game as white, you have to actually go queen takes E5 with check. For the specific reason of if the king just tries to back up, you have some checkmates threatened. So the king has to go down to H6, and you would be looking at queen to H2, and you have to defend with G5. And then you would just be looking at rook to C7 because, I mean, the computer's like, bro, you done everything you need to do. Let's just go after this pawn, bro. Why not? The crazy thing is, in this position, the computer also really, really loves king to D2. Bro, I don't think any humans are going to be like, you know what's a great move? King to D2. It looks like I'm just moving into a check situation. Bro, this does not look safe at all, but it loves king to D2 like above everything in life. But like I said, we did see king to H6. We got the rook taking F7. And the crazy thing is, it even still deems that king to D2 is a draw. Bro, I don't know what it is with this king to D2 move. It's like, what's the best move on earth? King to D2. Now, bro, look at this, man. This ain't me. Bro, why would I go king to D? Bro, I mean, am I weaseling out of this? I don't know, man. That's crazy. But going back to what we had rook takes F7, which it might kind of seem good. You're taking the piece. Now, you know, black is down material. I mean, you're hitting the queen. The queen has to move right, but the queen has the perfect response to this. We got queen going to e1, and then the king goes to f3. You don't have any other moves to make, and then we have queen going to f2 with check, and it is in this position that Magnus Carlsen resigns the game. So Malaka see Wesley So. If you guys want to, I will take you just another 2 moves deep and show you this checkmate. It's a really nice looking checkmate. But Magnus went ahead and was like, I don't even want any of that, bro. You can go ahead and have a game. You would be looking at king going to g4. This is the only move. So this is like a forced mate. It's not like you have other options or something like that. You would be looking at queen to g2 with check, and you can go bishop to g3, and that's just going to be made. You got king going over to f4, and queen to g3 is just made. Or you have this cutie right here. King takes h4, and then you just say, hey, bro, I'm going to make the most subtlest move in the history of chess. g5 checkmate. Magnus didn't want to see none of that, man. He was like, I don't even like any of this, man. Like, why are you putting me through this? I thought we were cool. So anyways, man, that is that game, bro. And so, you know, I think Wesley So, you know, I didn't really check the standings. I'm going to check the standings, so I'm going to have the information for you. And I'm going to definitely get the position, the Chess960 position that this is, so that I can know and I can let you guys know, put it in the description. But I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat the king makaibigan po sa nanonood ng king my video. Hello ulit. Messiah call me Kitty Kang Muli. I appreciate you guys very much. Mabuning pagbody. Ingat lagi to you. Anybody who is coming from Norway, I would say God Morgan. And I would say Tusen Tak. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. And I'm going to catch you guys next time.